Hi, and thanks for watching. My name is Todd Baginski. I'm a Microsoft MVP and the partner and CTO at Canvas Consulting. In this video, I'm going to take you on a deep dive of the Company Pulse PowerApps Sample template. I'm going to show you how to create and use configuration settings inside of a PowerApp. To get started, I'm going to open up the Company Pulse PowerApps Sample template. Here you can see I have it in the editor, and I'm going to start to play it in preview mode and load it. You may be wondering why you would need a configuration value in a PowerApp. Well, if you think about other technologies that you develop with, like an ASP.NET website for instance, you usually have some place where you can store configuration settings. For an ASP.NET website, that's the web.config file inside of the app settings section. Now, PowerApp doesn't really have such a config file that you can use to store variables that you would change as you go from environment to environment, say from dev to test to QA to production. Or if you wanted to install it on one tenant and another tenant, or even if you wanted to install the PowerApp 2 times in the same exact environment, but use it and point it at 2 different data sources. So in this video, what I'm going to do is show you how you can actually create those type of configuration settings inside of a PowerApp and use them at runtime. So this is what the Company Pulse PowerApp Sample template looks like when you load it up. The configuration settings in this PowerApp are used to control 2 things. Number 1, the Twitter account where the data for the Twitter feed comes from, and the distribution list email address where the company announcements, the green icon you see here, come from. So for purposes of this demo, I'm going to remove shared use and Yammer and filter it down to just those items. Here you can see that we have a bunch of tweets. They're actually coming from Microsoft's Twitter account at this point. We also have inside of the application the ability to look at messages that come into a distribution list that we have set up at my company. So how do we use configuration settings to configure that? Let me take it out of edit or runtime mode here and put it in the editor and show you how you can do that. This is pretty easy functionality to implement, as it should be. The way we've implemented it is we've created this settings screen here. This settings screen is not linked to from any of the screens that you see when you actually run the PowerApp. The only way you can get to it is when you're an admin for the PowerApp and you have the PowerApp open in edit mode. This allows you to roll out the PowerApp to different environments and allow only the administrator of the PowerApp to control the configuration settings. As I mentioned before, we have 2 configuration settings in this particular PowerApp. First, we have the Twitter account, and then we have the distribution list account. In this video, I'm just going to show you editing the Twitter account because they both work the same way. So right now, the Twitter account, as I showed you, is displaying tweets from Microsoft's Twitter account. Notice that when I select on the value here to set the Twitter account, this is actually a label right up here, and it's named Settings Twitter Account. It's important to pay attention to that name because you'll see where we use it at runtime later. All an administrator has to do to change the value is go into that particular label and change it from one Twitter account to another. So in this case, I just changed it to my personal Twitter account. Now, when I come back to the application and I head back to the loading screen and run it, as the application loads, it will pick up that new configuration setting, and you'll no longer see the tweets from the Microsoft Twitter account, but you'll see the tweets appear from my Twitter account. And here they are. Now you can see the tweets that are coming from my Twitter account as well. How do we actually use the settings value at runtime? Well, it's very simple actually. If we head back to the code that actually loads all of the data, that's right here in the end event of this timer on the loading screen, we can see where we pull that value. Here's where we get the Twitter messages. We call out to the Twitter connector and use the user timeline method, and we pass in there's that same name of that label I had, settings Twitter account.text. That pulls the text value out of that label and actually uses it at runtime to go query that value. You'll also notice that down here where we get the emails for the distribution list, this is the setting Outlook account text value. If I head back to my settings screen here and I click on that Outlook account, you'll notice that the value up in the properties for this label is the settings Outlook account. Another thing that you'll notice here in the configuration settings is, in addition to providing configurable variables here, we also include the instructions on how to install the PowerApp. This way, the PowerApp is self-documenting, and the documentation on how to install it and configure it always goes along for the ride, so that any administrator who works with this PowerApp can put it into any PowerApps environment they like and have it work very quickly and easy, all without having to actually write any code or to go look up a separate installation document. We hope this pattern comes in helpful for you as you develop PowerApps in the future. Thanks for watching.